Hi everybody, I'm sitting down today with Bruce Holway, who manages our product definition group here at SolidWorks. Bruce, thanks for taking the time to sit down and talk.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
So we've been doing the top 10 list here at SolidWorks World for a number of years now. How long have we been doing it?
Well, let me say, I've been with the company for 5.5 years, and I looked into the data. The data goes back about 9 years, so this will be our 10th year.
10th anniversary.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've asked around to see if there was anything before that, and it's kind of tough to get a straight answer. It's people's memory get a little sketchy when you get back that far, but we believe this is the 10th anniversary.
Oral history only.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that there was a year that it only had a top 5 list.
Yeah, it's funny. As I said, I just get the data that was in the system, but I think it was 2004, which was the year that World was in Boston, and my theory is that people were just so cold they didn't bother to fill out the ballot back then. But yes, so one quirk in the system, yeah.
So I know we have a pretty good track record of implementing the suggestions from the top 10 list. On average, what percentage of things from any given year's top 10 list eventually make it into the software?
So the figure we use is 70%, but what we mean by that is if you took all items on all top 10 lists, we've implemented about 70% of them. So it doesn't necessarily mean that of this year's top 10, we will implement 70% next year, because we're still working on things that we haven't yet completed from prior years. But yes, over time, we've been averaging around 70%.
So can you give me any examples of things from like the 2009 list that made it into the 2010 software? Sure,
several examples. Ability to rename a configuration while it's in use. It was an annoyance. Recreate all mates when mirroring components. And that's got a nice implementation. I think people are really going to like that. It leaves a feature in the tree that you can go back and edit to add more parts to the mirror. You can pick left-hand, right-hand, or which components need a left-hand, right-hand version, and decide whether it's a configuration or a whole new part. So I think people are going to like that. Let me see. Excel behavior for editing SolidWorks tables. Well, it was kind of annoying that you'd have to get used to working in Excel, and when you go to a SolidWorks table, you'd have to kind of learn to navigate. That's right. So that's a good one. In drawings, if you use ordinate dimensions and use them in the detail view, you can now reference the 0 in the parent view, which is really the way it should work. So it's good to get that one knocked down. But let me see. A big one is more types of reference plane creation. Or more ways of creating reference planes. This is one of my favorite because it was in the top 10, but not only that, we had a large number of individual requests, people wanting to create reference planes in their own way, tangent to two cylinders, halfway between an angle and two planar faces, or an angle and tangent to a cylinder. So, we found a way to knock down a large number of those, and we really increased the number of ways that you can create reference planes. Slightly different UI, but I think when you get used to it, you'll be happy.
So that's 4 or 5 right off the top of your head right there.
Yeah, and there's a couple more I'm not remembering right now.
So you have the list for this year here in front of you. Do you mind running down it?
Sure. Number 1 this year, this is interesting because it never appeared on any top 10 list before, and all of a sudden it popped into the number 1 spot, and that is SolidWorks should cleanly uninstall itself. So people, when they uninstall, they don't want little bits left around.
Yeah, and I've seen people talk about that online.
Yeah.
Registry keys left over and things like that.
Yeah, we've heard it, but we've never seen it on the top 10, right up to number 1. So. Number 2 and 3 we've seen before. Number 2 was increased stability. Number 3 is file compatibility between different versions of SolidWorks. Number 4, on-the-fly equation and dialog boxes for them. It's another one we've heard before, where people want to be able to just very easily write their equations in. Number 5, this is kind of interesting, better utilization of all processor cores.
These processors now have, 4 and 8 processor cores in a single chip.
Right, and so we've always had the request for faster rebuilds, but now they're kind of giving us an idea on what they really think is a good way to go after knocking that one down. So that's interesting. Number 6, allow more types of assembly features. It's a good one. We've heard it before as well. 7, graphical map of references. I like that. Number 8, option to dangle children instead of deleting them. So you delete a feature, but you want to kind of rewire everything, all the remaining features. Number 9, exploded views for weldments. It's a multi-body part, not an assembly, so the exploded views don't work, so they want that. And number 10 is another interesting one that never appeared before. Simplify video card requirements.
So you already think that means go to DirectX, not just OpenGL?
Well, I think it's probably a lot to do with the drivers as well. People, they want to be able to easily know that they're on the latest driver and that they're using
just make it easy.
They're using a certified graphics card.
So if you had to place a bet on if any of these will make it into SolidWorks 2011, what would it be?
I'm really not allowed to go there. First of all, I don't know with 100% accuracy. We're still working on the product, but still, our management likes us to be very tight-lipped about
All right,
the future.
We don't want you to get fired, so
Thank you.
I won't press too further.
Thank you.
So one last question I have for you. I know that in previous years, you used to have to actually vote the top 10 list on site at SolidWorks World. But for 2009 and this year, 2010, we've implemented the Brainstorm System online to do this. How has that changed the voting and the results that you're getting?
Yeah, I think it's been positive. We've definitely gotten many positive reviews from customers. One complaint we got in the past was that the ballot would only have 40 or 50 items to choose for. People would say, well, wait a minute, the thing that I really want isn't on the list. So now they have complete transparency and total ability to put in whatever they want. And everybody can see where every idea came from, comment on them. You can also vote for or against if you feel strongly. So the reviews have been quite positive. The only thing I would say is that the top 10, of course, is not the only thing we look at. We do an enormous amount of research, but we do give it a lot of weight. It weighs heavily in our release planning.
Well, I know it's one of the things that everybody looks forward to every year. So thanks for taking the time to come and sit down and talk, and look forward to seeing you again.
My pleasure.
All right, Bruce. Thanks.
Yep.